Each morning I look forward to the intimate time I spend reading a series of worn-out love letters that have transformed my life forever. Through the years, I have also heard how these same letters have traveled far and wide to transform the lives of many people. And today, you will hear one of their stories. So don't go anywhere. I'm off to another house to share some good news with you. This is the true story of Leo Thompson. Today, Leo will speak to us about his near-death experience and how God used that day to get Leo's focus back on what was most important. I'm so happy to share his good news with you.
My friends got together and we decided that we were going to have a good time. And in having a good time, what we basically did was we stayed up and basically did marijuana and crack cocaine. And that lasted Friday to Saturday, then to Sunday. And I had a cousin who I just felt impelled to say, hey, look, listen, I need some help. I can remember, Mark, my shirt bouncing off of my chest because my heart was beating at such a terrible rate. I was afraid to go to the hospital or do anything because I didn't want to hurt my parents' feelings, that they expected so much from me, but yet I was an individual who was looked upon as somebody who was supposed to be on an upper echelon compared to being who I really was. So I can remember my wife calling, and she had sort of a notion that something was wrong. She had a feeling. And she called home and she said to me, is there something wrong, sweetheart? Is there something wrong? And I said, yes, could you please come home? As she came home, I let her know, which was, I thought, one of the most embarrassing things because, first of all, nobody knew. This was my first time doing crack cocaine, was that Friday night. And I can remember riding up Seven Locks Road, going up to Marcacy, and I was hurting so bad that I couldn't go any further. So she pulled into the fire station, and we just, and to show you how God works, there was a paramedic coming out. And so we stopped, and he asked me, he said, do you need any help? And I said, yes, I'm having chest pains. And he said, well, drive right to the bay because I want to get you to the ambulance. I thought at that moment that my time had ticked away. Gotcha. And what I did was I went to, they transported me to the hospital, and I heard them on the phone saying that we had somebody en route having chest pain, probably having a heart attack. When I got to Suburban Hospital, I'll never forget it, I was laying there in the bed, and I mean, people were swarming around me. I could see all these white jackets, but I was fading away. And I could tell that things weren't all that great. That in this particular point in time, I couldn't say goodbye to my dad, my mom, my wife, my children. And I can remember starting to cry because I put myself in that position. As I was sitting there, I could remember that I started to doze off. And when I dozed off, I said this years ago, when I dozed off, I could remember being out in the middle of the ocean on a raft. And as I was out on a raft, there was nothing in sight but water, waves, the blue sky. But I kept seeing this black bird circle the raft. And it kept circling the raft. And all of a sudden, he ducked its wings and came straight down and hit the raft. When the raft began to sink, what happened was the water got up to my chin and I could feel the water filling up the raft. The problem was, Mark, I can't swim. I was at that point thinking that death was just seconds away. And I can remember when the water got to my chin, I said, "Oh my God." And I saw all these little white things walking around me. And it was it was a scary moment, a very scary moment. And then all of a sudden when I said, "Oh my God," I woke right up. And when I woke up, those white jackets that I thought were angels at that particular point in time was transformed into doctors and nurses walking around me. And then I knew at that point that when I woke up, I said, "God, if I make it through this point, you don't ever have to worry about me ever doing cocaine again." I finally realized that in the course of time, it was very difficult to face my parents and family and members because
You're ashamed.
yeah, most definitely. And I knew that that I had to begin trying to find out what happened during this process. What made me change my thought pattern to start to change my life? And I can remember my mom always said all the time, and so did my dad when we spoke about religion, is you have to trust in the Lord. You have to give yourself. But me, I'm saying
You gave the exterior self. You weren't giving the interior
interior
self.
self, without a shadow of a doubt.